Living Proof with Beth Moore is sponsored by Lifeway and the friends and partners of Living Proof Ministries.
Because this month has a special emphasis on motherhood, we are going to do a little something together, a couple of friends and I, that we hope will serve you. Now, this is what I want to say to you. I want to say that if you are a mother or you have ever had a mother, we would love for you to tune in because something we're going to share has something to do with you. I want you to meet a couple of friends that I have brought in. I am so glad you girls are here. It is such a thrill to have you. These are my really, really dear friends. This is Priscilla Shirer. She is a Texas girl. Yes. She's from the Dallas area. And this is my dear friend Lisa Harper, who is a Tennessee girl. And
That's right.
Lisa, are you from Tennessee?
No, I'm from Florida.
Okay.
But I've lived in Tennessee for 30 years, so I talk right.
Yes, indeed you do. Yes, indeed you do. So this is the triangle we are serving from. And not only do we all three totally love Jesus, we're also very active in ministry. They are fellow Bible study writers as well as authors. But the reason why I have got them with me here today is because we three are, well, we're mothers.
Mamas.
We're mamas.
Yes.
Mamas. Yeah.
And there's really no cutting that off even for a moment.
That's our full-time job.
That is
That's
our
real job.
full-time
right.
job. Now, I want to say something to you guys before we get rolling about motherhood. Perhaps you know Priscilla. You're like, right now you're thinking, I really, really know that face. And I am trying to place where I know, well, you may know her as Elizabeth from War Room, which is the blockbuster film
right.
that
That's
if
right.
you have not seen, you absolutely must see. And please tell them, Priscilla, how you roped me in. See, we rope one another into things.
Yes, we do.
I have her here because she owed me such a big one. And so she's here to pay back. And so would you like to tell them, and then we'll get Lisa
Okay.
in on it.
I was sitting around, you need to know, listen, I was sitting
Okay.
around this table with the directors of War Room.
Right.
They were trying to cast this person that was going to play my boss in the film.
Right.
And they had gone through all these actresses who had come in and auditioned, and they were going to pick one, but they didn't
Right.
feel real gung-ho about it.
Right.
So we're sitting around the table. It's 10 o'clock at night, and someone around the table says, we should get Beth Moore to do it. And everybody just laughed like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's so funny. And I was like, why don't we call her, y'all?
That's right.
So at 10
right.
o'clock, 10:30 at night, do you remember? I called her.
Did she just ask me if I remember? Priscilla, did you just ask me if yes, I remember.
I called you and I put her on speakerphone with the Kendrick brothers. And they said, we just want to know if you'll be in this little film with us. And
Little
Beth
film.
was like,
Little film.
I thought it was a joke. But Lisa, what you need to know is I had to audition for
Yes,
it.
you
You were
did.
impressive.
you were
You
impressive.
sold me. You
We were
had
thinking
me at
Academy
hello. It was
Award for
amazing.
sure.
I was.
For short is what I did it. Okay, I have to tell you one thing because this is the best ever story. I could not, Lisa, take my husband to see it. I could not let him see War Room with me because I get too nervous.
Yeah.
And I want his approval so much. I can kind of die to a lot of people's approval, but not Keith's. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so I'll just look for every little thing he's going to say. He said, well, I'm going to take my mother to it. I said, go ahead, take your mother to it. And so I was out of town. He takes his mother to see it. And he's got a big tub of popcorn that he's eating. And he said, the second I came on the screen, and he didn't know at what point it was going to be. The second I came on the screen, he said, I tried to swallow my popcorn, set it down, and stand up so I could clap in the middle of the theater for you. And he said, baby, by the time I got up, you were gone. It was the best. The best.
You were on screen like 3 or 4 minutes.
Well,
and then you pop back up for a little
pop
blurb
back
there
up,
later in the movie.
pop back
Yes,
up.
girl,
and
you were
we-
good.
Okay,
And it was a really strong 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm
Like, it was
serious.
powerful.
It was the movie hinged.
It was.
On the
on
conversation.
those,
It was.
on
Yeah.
okay, I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
good
I
about
felt
that.
like without it, the plot just would have
Well,
died.
you
Yeah,
can tell
yeah.
that we three have trouble talking to one another. We really can't. I've had to make a lot of notes because we're not really sure what we're going to talk about today. But we do have something we want to share because let me tell you something. Talk about a role that each of us has that is on us continually. I raised only daughters, and they are grown, and I have 3 grandchildren. I have a single daughter and a married daughter with 3 children, and so I am in the throes of parenting young adult children.
Yes.
So that's one thing. Priscilla, tell us just a little bit about your parenting journey and what you've got going on under the roof of your house.
Yes. Well, Jerry and I have been married for about 16 years now, and we have 3 boys. The very first time I met you, I had just had my first son.
right.
Yep. And Jackson is his name. So Jackson is our oldest. He just turned 13. Y'all just started this whole teenage thing.
Yes, you did.
Yes. So Jackson is 13. He is taller than me, wears a size 13 men's shoe.
Goodness.
Did you hear what I
He's a
said?
big boy. Well, I saw
Girl.
him recently, and he is a big,
He is a
good-looking boy.
giant. Yes,
He
he's a
is
giant.
Priscilla, a
Sweet man.
13.
Yes, and they eat incessantly. It's unbelievable. So I have the 13-year-old big boy, then 11-year-old, he's just up underneath his big brother.
Right.
And then I have my 7-year-old, Jude, is our surprise boy. So I've got Jackson,
Yes.
Jerry Jr., and Jude.
And please tell them, because I want people to know why you named him Jude. Of course, this is a little
Yeah.
bit tongue-in-cheek, but I just love this story. I'm going to back up far enough to say that, Lisa, even though, don't worry, I'm not going to tell our exact conversation, Priscilla, so relax. But I get a little text from Priscilla exactly that many years ago, and she said,
7
"Miss
years,
Beth,
8 years, yeah.
I need to talk to you." Well, because that is a little more urgent than we usually say. We usually say, "Got a sec?" or "When you get a sec, give me a
Right,
call."
right.
No, this wasn't "got a sec." This is, "I don't care what you're doing. I need you to pick up the phone."
Right.
And so, in her own words, when she answered, she told me that, yes, indeed, she was expecting again. You talk about a big surprise. So tell him,
I didn't
Priscilla.
quite put it like that. Am I
No,
allowed
you
to say
didn't.
what
Yeah,
I said?
well, you know what? They can just imagine.
This is Christian. This is
Yes,
Christian television.
yes, but it was so
It was so
funny.
unexpected.
It was so
and
unexpected.
I was crying on the phone that day, not out of sadness, just shock.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were just kind of done. We had given all the baby stuff away. Everybody was out of diapers. Everybody was going to school, and then little Jude came, and I did name him Jude because that is as close as I could get to Revelation. Because I'm finished, Jackson J. Jr. and Jude, honey,
That's
it is
the end.
done.
And
Yeah.
Revel- Revelation is such an awkward
that would be
name
odd.
It would
for a
work.
child.
Yeah.
So I remember it so well because they said that it took about 3 days, Lisa, for Priscilla and Jerry to start talking to one another again. They were not mad at each other. They were
just couldn't
he
talk.
said they just were looking at each other like, "How could you? How could you?"
But I got to say though, he has been the biggest gift ever.
Oh,
I think
yes.
the surprise ones kind of always are. He is a character, and he's just like a little piece of gel for the
Yeah.
family that just glues everybody together. He's just a joy. He's a delight.
You can tell.
You know, I got to tell another story too, especially because we're about to shift over to Lisa, and I am a mom that raised only daughters.
Right.
I didn't raise any sons to adulthood. I did have a little boy in my home, a relative of ours that I had the privilege to raise for about 7 years, but I didn't get to see that
Yeah.
come to fruition as even a teenager and then a young adult. But I remember so well when I said to you, Priscilla, that with that third child, I said, "Girl, this is going to be your daughter." And it was so funny because she said back to me, "It better not be." And I just loved it. And I'm going to tell you why. And she was right. And I have seen the fruit of this over and over again. She said, "You know, Beth, we're really kind of on a roll.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we've got this boy
Right.
household going."
Right.
And she said, "Jerry and I understand how this thing functions."
Right.
And she said, "When I travel, if they don't all go with me, then Jerry's got all these boys and they can camp or they can go on trips,
Right.
they can go fishing, they can do all these things." And sure enough, God in his wisdom gave you exactly that. That little guy
Yep.
just moved into
Little
all
boys.
these
Yeah.
men.
Yep.
So that leads perfectly
To
into your journey
you.
because you have a very, very unique and wonderful story
Very
about
exciting.
parenting, and we want to
It's been
hear it.
amazing. I missed the window of biological parenting because I was dumb as a rock. I was really broken, and so when I was and I met you kind of after
Yeah.
I knew Jesus. I knew him as Savior, but not Liberator, and so I was really drawn to abusive men in my 20s and 30s. And God protected me from the guys I was drawn to. The few good, godly guys I dated, God protected them from me because I was such a hot mess. So I missed that season to marry and bear children. And by the time I was about 40, I thought that's just, God's not capricious, but that's the fruit of my sin and me not trusting the Lord. I'm not going to get to have kids. And then a woman in church, I was praying about adopting. A woman called me aside and said, you shouldn't adopt. She said, because you have sexual molestation in your background, you could unwittingly transfer that onto a child. And so she said,
Stop it. Are
woman
you
from
serious?
woman from small group, and meant well. She was a crooked little tree. She was trying to speak truth. She was just broken somewhere in her story. But I believed her. She said, instead of becoming a parent, you should go to the Nashville Humane Society and get another dog because you're good with pets. And Beth, that's exactly what I did. I went and got my third dog that season, a chocolate lab with bladder control problems named Sally.
Yeah.
I'm floored. But I should have known Jesus would never say, you're not good enough to be a mama.
Yeah.
He might say no, or he might say wait, but he'd never say you're not good enough. So it took me another 7 years after I started praying about adoption to go, okay, I'm just going to trust the Lord and walk slowly. And I lost two adoption attempts and was really just brokenhearted. And 2 weeks after I lost a baby I'd been in process with the whole time, just a week before she was born, some friends called me. I was actually in Dallas, and they said, we just got back from Haiti last night. And they said while we were there, one of the young moms died of AIDS. They didn't know she had AIDS. She hadn't been tested. And she has a 2.5-year-old who has HIV and cholera and tuberculosis. And they said, we remembered you saying you wanted a kid nobody was standing in line for. Now, that's not because I'm kind or sweet or in any way heroic. It's because I'm single. And I hope to marry if that's God's will.
Yes.
But at this point, I'm single. And so I didn't want to take a child who had a shot at a mama and a daddy because that's best case scenario. I wanted a child who probably nobody would pick. And they said, there's this little girl and she'll die, the doctors have said, in about 3 months if she doesn't get meds. But if anybody in a first world country would say, I'll sign up for her, then your adoption fees will go for her HIV meds, and she has a shot.
Okay.
And so they said, would you pray about this? And I said, nope. So I've been praying about this for 30 years, sign me up. And then I got off the phone, and I want to be really honest, a bad word ran through my head because I thought, what in the world did I just do? I thought, can I even do this? And then 6 weeks later, I was on a plane to Haiti, and they put her in my arms. She was 2.5. She was only 19 pounds because she was so malnourished. And she didn't like me at first. And she looked at me like, you big, pale thing. She was very wary. But then she kind of just looked at me for maybe 20 seconds. And then she reached up. I'll never forget it. She reached up her little hand, and she wrapped around my little finger, and she said, hello, Mama Blanc. Hello, white mama. And
I think I'm gonna call you White Mama.
It is. I mean, I'll own it.
It's going to be awkward when I'm going to have
Mama
to call her
Blanc.
that too.
Mama Blanc.
Yes.
I like it. But I was like, stick a fork in me, I'm done. Took 2 years from that day.
2 years.
And then I brought her home when I was 50.
We'll return to the conversation in just a moment, but we thought we'd give you the opportunity to get to know a little bit more about Beth, Priscilla, and Lisa. This week, our sponsors at Lifeway are offering a special bundle with work from all three. Priscilla Shirer is a popular conference speaker and author whose focus is helping us know the truths of Scripture intellectually, but also to experience them practically. In her book, Life Interrupted, Priscilla introduces us to the life of Jonah, a man with a tendency to run from interruptions. Priscilla calls us to ponder what we might be missing when we run from God. The bundle also includes Hebrews, The Nearness of King Jesus by Lisa Harper. Lisa is a gifted communicator. She writes and speaks using colorful pop culture references that connect the dots between the Bible era and modern life. In this study, Lisa leads us across the bridge between the Old and New Testaments to get to the heart of the matter. Jesus is our accessible King, not a faraway God, but an up-close Redeemer who draws near, regardless of our circumstances. Last but certainly not least, Feathers from My Nest, a book that reveals a reflective and personal side of Beth Moore, a collection of vignettes, a celebration of family life from babies to carpools to teenagers. This book will tug gently on the sentimental heartstrings of any parent. This specially priced bundle will make a great present for that special mom in your life, but it's only available at our website for a limited time. So visit bethmoore.org/TV today.
can't even begin to tell you what an honor it is to serve you. We've tried so hard to think about how to serve you best. One of the things we wanted to do is find a way that you could have some kind of aid in your walk with Christ 24/7, that any time you could get on a website and you could look for different things that you may need to encourage you in your walk. So here's what we've done. We've prepared a TV landing page where you can come and you can check out our prayer wall. That's a place where you can jot down online your requests, things that are really weighing heavy on you, places where you could really use some help in your walk. We'd love to be able to intercede in your behalf. You'll also find how to have peace with God, how to begin to get to know Him, what it means to have peace with our Creator. We'd love to share that with you. You'll also find Lifeway's resource items. Listen, whatever theme, whatever place in life, whatever season you may be in, there is some kind of resource there that will help you along the way. How to live through your challenges and your everyday life victoriously with Jesus Christ.
Are you leading a small group? Here you can find select episodes from Living Proof, along with some other video content that you can use in your small group. You'll also find study guides there. That way you and your small group can really dig in and share with each other what God is teaching you through His Word.
We also have an opportunity for you to be part of our Living Proof Live events. Those are many of the things that you see in our broadcasts. We'd love for you to be part of it live. If we're coming to a city near you, please come be part of it. We would love so much to serve you there. Thank you so much for letting us have the privilege. When you were saying that you got off the phone and went, what have I done? That really is not so unlike us when we look and see a positive on an early pregnancy test.
Right.
Lisa, either I can remember very, very strongly and starkly when I first realized that I could be expecting. I had been told that I was going to have a lot of trouble having children. My mother had.
Right.
I had exactly the same malady that she had, and it took her 9 years. I was told that I would need to have surgery,
Wow.
and that there would just be a number of things that would need to be reworked, and then I would
Right.
have really good
Right.
possibilities.
Right.
And instead, 9 months and 2 weeks after the day Keith and I married, we gave
Oh,
birth to our
my
first child. So
goodness.
if you don't think I looked at that little test and went, what in the world have we done? But let me tell you, God plans these lives, knows
Yeah.
before the foundation
Yeah.
of the world
Yeah.
exactly what homes He will put these children in, and knew before that child was ever born that He was going to entrust her. You tell us her name, and you know what? I don't know that I know her full name.
Her given name in Haiti was Melissa. They
Okay.
called her Missy, so I
Yes.
kept her name because I
Yes.
thought so much is changing. So her first name is Missy, and then her middle name is Price. My little brother's middle name is Price, and our family has some kind of Jerry Springer chapter, so I thought that'd kind of redeem our
Yes.
family's lineage.
Yes.
So she's Melissa Price Harper.
I love that we are bringing all of this into the mix because you are a single mom, and the way you got to receive your little Missy into your home is unique and beautiful. And I want somebody to hear that there are all sorts of ways
Right.
that we parent. And, you know, I thought to myself, if we just had a little while, what would I want to say to somebody that's out there in the throes of it? From this angle, as a parent of young adults and then watching my oldest daughter parent, what would I want to say about being a parent? And I kept thinking of this one word, parent, that this is what I would want to say, parent. And I don't mean as a noun, I mean as a verb.
Right.
Active parenting, that's an action verb, that's what we can do that nobody else can do for us, or nobody else is meant to do for us. Let's parent, not just, now I don't mean that there are not times that we are such a good friend to our children. Of course, there are those times, but not just to boss, or not just to befriend, or not just to bring in material provision for them, or not just to be their bus to get them where all they're going, but to actually parent, that we're the ones parenting, that we're not just being dominated somehow by our children. Parenting takes courage.
It does.
And it takes some confidence. I mean, where we think, okay, now there is a reason why I'm the parent here and this is the child. And I'm going to have to somehow get on my feet and hold back my shoulders and say, you know what? Because I love you so much, I'm about to say the word you don't want to hear. No.
That's right.
And I'm prepared to say it as often as I need to.
right.
I mean, no, because it is my job to parent you. And maybe someday you're going to understand, maybe someday you won't. But I'm going to tell you, under every bit of the conviction I have, if I feel that it's a no, it's going to have to be one. And I think one of the things that I see, and I'm not cynical about our present culture. I don't look back at the past and think those were the good old days. That's not even in my bones. I don't think that way. I love what God is doing on this globe at this time. I love some of the things about parenting that are a little easier to express now and a little more open. But one of the things that I do think is worrisome is that we are getting scared of our children. There's not quite the authoritarian kind of that when we were being raised, some of us, we had that strong authority that might have seemed, I'm not saying for all three of us, I'm just saying that it was out there a lot, that almost that kind of bully parenting, where you are to be seen and not heard. Okay, we don't see that as often. Of course it exists, but we don't see it as often, perhaps, as we did back when I or my mother or my grandmother, back when we were being raised. But what we do see now is that there are a whole lot of parents, a whole lot of mothers that are just scared of their kids, and their kids are in charge of the home. You're really in the throes of that, Priscilla, and I know that you surely see that, where it's just like, we're going to take over. And is there something that how do you lay down a good, strong no, and that's all there is to it?
I'm so agreeing with, resonating with what you're saying, especially now that these giants in my house are getting bigger than me.
Yes.
They're, bigger physically. So it's like there has to be a healthy respect that is already established before they have passed me in height, and before they are twice my size. So that's something that I've thought a lot about. And one of the things, when you say confidence, I think that's one of the hardest things, because the reality is parenting is such a hard job that you do doubt yourself half the time. You're wondering if the no you gave should have been a no, if the yes you gave should have been a yes. Can they hang out with these friends, not these friends? You're so concerned, because really the only time you know you did well or not well as a parent is in hindsight. You can't tell it while you're in it. No, it's so hard to lack the confidence. And I think this sounds a little silly, but I remember doing this when the boys were babies and they're crying, and I'm like, I don't need to keep picking them up. I need to let them, I remember standing off to myself in my room and saying, you are the parent. You are the parent. You know what's best for them. Really just encouraging yourself, reminding yourself of the position that has been entrusted to you by God.
By God. Yes.
And that you're stewarding one of his great treasures on his behalf here on earth. And so literally, it sounds a little silly, but literally just standing back and reminding yourself that you're in charge. You know what I mean? That you're the parent and helping your own confidence to bolster your own confidence. And then, of course, surrounding yourself with other women who are going to help you do the same.
That's right.
Other parents who are going to help to encourage you in your yeses being yes and your nos being nos. But I have to say that when I do give the boys a no, and of course this is constant, but saying to them, I do not want to say this again.
That's good.
I'm not telling you this 1,800 times. If you have already asked me, you don't then go ask your father. And you don't need to ask me again, because my no is still going to be my no. So I think we train our children inadvertently when we have a no one day and a yes on that same thing the next day. We train them inadvertently to think that we're not even taking ourselves seriously. So if we don't, they won't. And so we have to train ourselves to have enough confidence to let our no's be no and our yes be yes, because then we teach our children not to ask us the same thing over and over and over again, thinking that they could just wear us down.
When I went through counseling to prepare for bringing her home, she said that my counselor said, now, you know what the most important thing is? And I said, yes, ma'am, love. And she said, no, actually consistency. She said, consistency is love. And so with
Structure.
Missy, I just tried to from the beginning. Now, of course, I break my own rule on a regular basis, but I try to be very consistent with my yes is yes, my no is no. We have a lot of fun. We have really wide parameters in our house. We dance all the time. We have worship dance parties in our house because I'm Baptist-Costal. So we have a lot of fun. But where I've said no, it's no. And the other day she came running into the bathroom. I was getting ready and I was not in a state of complete dress. And she said, "Mama, you have a big bottom." And then she said, "I have a little bottom and you're in charge. You're the boss. I'm not, I'm little." And I thought, that's
She
good.
got it.
She got it.
She absolutely
but
got it.
it's that I think it also has given her great security to go, I'm under you. You will
Yes.
protect me. And
Yes.
so there's something about parenting, being an active parent, and having clear yeses and nos that actually makes your child feel so secure. I think that's how it is with us, with God, our perfect Father. It is his those rules that are velvet chains. It's his kindness, his mercy when he
love that,
disciplines us
Lisa.
that keeps us safe. And I feel like that again, I think, made every mistake known to motherhood in 2 years. But the one thing I found is consistency with Missy makes her a happy, secure kid.
Because I'm watching my adult niece need her mama to still be her mama, even though she's grown. And I was just thinking about all the grandmothers who just need to know their value and their worth and their importance in the life of a grown woman who just needs her mama.
I think just maybe somebody came together today to lift up the mighty name of Jesus. That's what I think. He has come for us. We think that we have come for him, but I want you to know he came up with this first and he has come for us. And I want somebody coming for me. I am praying today that God is going to shake us up and that he's going to splash his spirit all over us. Oh, let it be, Lord. Let it. I'm in the mood today for Jesus. Let our story be, I love you, Jesus. I love you, Jesus.
Living Proof Live events will tour these cities and hope you'll be able to join us. For more information, for dates, for times, for locations, visit bethmore.org/TV. Living Proof would like to send you a thank you gift for your donation. Visit bethmore.org/donate.